Today on Inquirer. Transport groups start week-long strike to protest jeepney phaseout. Department of Justice checking if the two arrested suspects in the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo may be accepted under the Witness Protection Program. Location of sunken motor tanker carrying 800,000 liters of industrial oil in Oriental Mindoro identified. And fuel prices to increase tomorrow. Good evening. Transport groups start the week-long strike to protest the impending jeepney phase-out. To tell us more, here's John Eric Mendoza reporting live. Eric, what's the update on the transport strike?
Yes, Neil, traditional jeepneys should be rehabilitated instead of being phased out completely. This is the call of Piston, one of the biggest transport groups in the country, who spearheaded the week-long jeepney strike nationwide, which began today. Piston National President Molly Floranda pointed out that individual operators could not afford more than 2 million pesos for a modern jeepney. Instead, Floranda said the group is advocating for rehabilitation. Experts said rehabilitation of jeepney will only cost 900,000 pesos, more than half the price of the modern jeepney. Around 100,000 jeepney drivers are expected to join the strike, including the 40,000 jeepneys plying the routes of Metro Manila. According to Floranda, some drivers and operators held a protest in several areas in the country to call for the scrapping of the PUV modernization program. Different sectors gathered at the University Avenue in Quezon City in support of the transport strike. The caravan traversed the Philcoa area and the LTFRB headquarters before regrouping in Mendola Peace Arch in Manila for a program there. The Manila Police District said more or less 200 protesters gathered in Mendiola. Local government units and government agencies offered free rides for stranded passengers. The MMDA also suspended the number coding scheme in response to the jeepney strike. However, the number coding scheme will resume from Tuesday to Friday. Neil?
That's John Eric Mendoza reporting live. Vice President Sara Duterte reiterates her stand on the week-long transport strike, saying it is a painful interference for the education system. In a statement, Vice President Duterte says DepEd opposes the strike, calling it problematic and hurtful to learners. She adds that learners and teachers are the casualties of the transport strike. In a previous statement, Duterte called the week-long strike communist-inspired. House Deputy Minority Leader and Alliance of Concerned Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro denounces Duterte's red tagging. Castro says that the statement is very insensitive and puts drivers and ACT at risk. In her statement today, the Vice President says this is not a red tagging but rather a statement of fact. She says Piston is an organization, quote, poisoned by the ideologies of the bankrupt Communist Party of the Philippines, the National Democratic Front of the Philippines, and the New People's Army. The Vice President also says that along with Piston is ACT, a group she describes to be, quote, nowhere near in the service of the education sector. A magnitude 5.3 earthquake rocked Davao de Oro on Monday morning. According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, the tectonic earthquake struck at 4:43 a.m. with its epicenter traced some 22 kilometers southeast of New Bataan town. The earthquake was felt at intensity 4 in New Bataan, Maco, and Mawab towns in Davao de Oro, while intensity 3 was recorded in Nabunturan and Davao de Oro. Intensity 2 was felt in Laac in Davao de Oro, while Intensity 1 was recorded in Bislig City in Surigao del Sur. Meanwhile, Instrumental Intensity 4 was recorded in Nabunturan in Davao de Oro, while Intensity 2 was recorded in Davao City in Davao del Sur. Felt intensity is the ground shaking actually felt and reported by the people through the PHIVOLCS earthquake intensity scale, while instrumental intensity is the ground shaking intensity measured by the intensity meter in and around the epicenter. Next on Inquirer Today. President Marcos Jr. orders police to identify political hotspots amid government official attacks. Location of sunken motor tanker carrying 800,000 liters of industrial oil in Oriental Mindoro identified. And fuel prices to increase tomorrow. This Inquirer Today will be back shortly.
Ako si Eloise Jill Cadilo. Currently, student ako sa UP, pero at the same time, nagtatattoo ako sa sining tinta. Personally, na nagpapatattoo ako, hindi ako ganun ka-comfortable doon. So, naisip ko, lahat ng hindi ako comfortable with, iibahin ko siya. Light lang yung curation ng space para hindi ka natatakot pag nagpapatattoo ka, lalo na't masakit kasi magpatattoo. Nag-start ako mag-tattoo, hindi dahil gusto ko mag-tattoo. Dahil gusto kong kumuha ng tattoo. Pero at the same time, hindi ko afford yung artist na gusto ko. So parang inisip ko, bakit hindi na lang ako magpaturo sa previous tattoo artist ko. Tapos i-design ko yung tattoo ko and then ako gagawa sa sarili ko. Tapos from there, yung una kong natatuan ay yung sarili ko din. So mas naramdaman ko yung difference sa practice skin and sa skin nung ginagawa ko na sa sarili ko. Nagtatattoo lang ako sa apartment namin sa Kamuning. Tapos, marami na din kasi akong friends nagpapatattoo nun. Tapos at the same time, yung friends nila, gano'n. Hindi kaya ng space ko kasi sobrang liit lang talaga nun. Tapos mainit. Tapos, ayun, lumaki na lang siya kasi nung nag-start akong mag-tattoo, somehow, may na-meet akong mga other women artists. Tapos, doon namin nabuo na parang women's space talaga siya. Gano'n. Sining tinta, kapag English, siya, ink art, gano'n. Yung pinaka-tagline kasi is malaya at mapagpalayang sining. Tapos, at the same time, yung artists ay puro women. Kasi marami sa clients ko previously, nagkakwento na they don't feel safe kapag puro male yung artists nila, gano'n. May ganong stories. I want to take that scare away, gano'n, yung that intimidation. And the only way na I can do it is if we strictly create a space na women artists lang din talaga. Future, we want to be able to expand this industry na mas maging accepting siya sa women artists na gusto pumasok sa pagtatattoo. Tapos, at the same time, sa mga clients namin, we want to break stereotypes. Makapasok ka sa mga work institutions na may tattoo ka, ganon. Tapos, hindi ka madidiscriminate for it or walang notion of yung usual na iniisip nila na madumi yung balat mo. Mas accepting yung society sa people with tattoos and people who engaged in tattoos and piercings.
The Department of Justice says that the two arrested suspects in the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo and 8 others are willing to cooperate in the government's investigation. INQUIRER.net's justice reporter Tech Torres Tupas has the details. Tech, what's the latest on the Degamo slay case?
Neil, suspects to the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo and 8 others already underwent inquest proceedings for multiple murder before the provincial prosecutor. These suspects for dishonorably discharged soldiers were also inquested before the Bayawan prosecutor for violation of the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulations Act and illegal possession of firearms and explosives. They are identified as Joven Aber, Benji Rodriguez, and Joric Labrador. 2 of the 3 suspects have expressed willingness to cooperate with the authorities. The DOJ spokesperson Jose Dominic Lavanos said statements of the 2 who he refused to identify will be evaluated if they can be admitted to the Witness Protection Program. The suspects were immediately arrested by Joint Police and Army troopers several hours after the attack. Seized from them were several high-powered rifles, B-40 rocket launchers, ammunition, and explosives. The DOJ will also be taking future complaints that are likely to be filed in relation to Degamo's killing, while there is already an ongoing coordination between the DOJ, the Philippine National Police, the DLG for the transfer of the respondents to be detained at the National Capital Region for protective custody. Neil?
That's Tech Torres Tupas reporting live. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. says he has ordered the Philippine National Police to identify political hotspots in the country amid the spate of killings of government officials. To tell us more, here's our Malacanang reporter, Daphne Galvez, reporting live. Daphne?
Neil, President Bongbong Marcos has ordered the police force to identify hotspots of political violence in the country amid the recent spate of attacks against government officials. He also ordered authorities to intensify their efforts against illegal firearms and private armies to further avoid such incidents. Marcos issued the order to Interior Secretary Benhur Abalos and the Philippine National Police following the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo, who is one of his close allies. He said the killing was shocking and terrifying considering that the governor was shot right in his own home. Degamo was meeting with local officials and beneficiaries of the government's 4-piece program in his residential compound in Pamplona town when 6 men wearing army uniforms and bulletproof vests entered and shot him. Marcos said the incident is unacceptable and cannot go unpunished. Degamo is the 2nd provincial chief who was violently attacked since Marcos took office last year. The incident is also the 5th record of violence against local officials this year, including the ambush of Lanao del Sur Governor Mamintal Adion and the ambush slay of Cagayan Vice Mayor Romel Alameda. With the recent attacks, Marcos said he has ordered a joint unit of police and the military to heighten their presence to further stem the violence. Back to you, Neil.
That's Daphne Galvez reporting live. The sunken motor tanker of Princess Empress has been located. Environment Secretary Maria Antonia Yulo Loizaga confirmed this development, according to Oriental Mindoro Governor Homerlito Dolor. The tanker, which carried 800,000 liters of industrial oil, capsized in the waters of Nauhan Town in Oriental Mindoro on February 28. It sank the following day after experiencing engine trouble. Dolor says that on March 4, 2 mapping vessels from the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority were deployed to find the exact location of the sunken vessel. Local oil firms jacked up pump prices of gasoline, diesel, and kerosene by as much as 1 peso and 50 centavos per liter. Effective tomorrow, March 7, the prices of gasoline will increase by 40 centavos per liter, while diesel prices will rise by 1 peso and 50 centavos per liter. Meanwhile, the prices of kerosene will increase by 1 peso and 25 centavos per liter. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Irvin Santiago ng Bandera. Irvin?
Hi Neil at sa lahat ng mga kabandera natin all over the universe. Ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. Excited na nagkwento ang TV host actor na si Luis Manzano tungkol sa mga kaganapan ngayon sa panganay na anak nila ni Jessie Menjola na si Baby Tina. Sabi ni Luis na iintindihan na niya ngayon ang feeling ng isang daddy kapag kinakarga at nilalaro ang kanilang mga baby. Palagi raw siyang looking forward na umuwi sa kanilang bahay para makapagbanding sila ng kanyang anak na talaga namang naghahatid ng sobrang kaligayahan ngayon sa kanilang pamilya. In fairness, ang dami na raw alam ni Baby Peanut kahit 2 buwan pa lamang ito. Biro nga niya marunong na raw gumamit ng laptop ang baby nila ni Jessie.
Totoo doon na feel ko na to yung sinasabi ng ibang mga magulang na uwing-uwi na sila. Tapos si Jessie, ang ginagawa ni Jessie, nagpapadala ng mga videos. So it's so hard to leave the house. Kanina bago umalis ng bahay, si Pina nakita. Ang hilig niya ngayon kasi nagda-laptop siya. 2 months pa lang siya. Wow! Yes. Ganun katindi.
Galing naman.
Isang araw pa baba ako, nagsusudoku.
Uy, kasi kayo sa amin na.
Buti sana kung mali-mali yung sagot. Ang problema, tama yung sagot niya. Ganun katalino.
Pero gusto ko malaman, kanino niya naman eh. Yun nga, ang tatanong na.
Basta since ayaw ang sabihin pero sobrang smart ko.
At yan ang Bandera Chika natin today. Thanks, Neil!
Maraming salamat, Irvin. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Catch Inquirer Today live weekdays at 6 p.m. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.